There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19.
Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this podcast.
Enthusiastic Woman, the podcast, broadcasting from the Enthusiastic Women Worldwide headquarters, where every day we birth success. I am Miss Shannan, happy to welcome my friends Judy Carter and Samantha Stokes to this lovely podcast. Remember, we are three women prepared to birth success. Ladies, how are you guys doing today?
Fine for quarantine.
I know.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, fine for quarantine.
Fine for quarantine.
Yes.
You know, I do think that although we are still these same three Gen X women who like to get together and do this podcast where we analyze, discuss, and parody trending topics, pop culture, and the insane products that they try to market to us, those things have remained constant. Although so much in the world has changed dramatically in the last 3 weeks, right? So even like the way that we're doing the podcast, because normally we would all be in the same room, but no, now we are all doing this from our remote locations, which, I mean, I miss you guys, but I get to see you guys. You guys are on my screen here as we are Skyping in. And I will tell you this, there are certain things that I am enjoying about the quarantine. I'm not saying it's not odd. It is quite odd, and it has taken some adjustments. But some of the things I'm like, oh, wait, I have managed to streamline some of my personal processes, I think.
Likewise. Yeah,
Right.
likewise. I wish it would get a little bit warmer outside so I could spend more time taking longer walks, but I'm not hating being at home and just rolling out of bed and into my chair in front of my computer and starting to work. I'm okay with that so far.
Right. And I think from the perspective of two parents who already had kind of different school scenarios with their kids, I mean, Judy and I, yeah, it's different that I'm not taking my kid to school because he was not fully homeschooled before. There were just bits and pieces that we did at home. But I got to be honest, it is kind of nice not to have to like rush out of the house and have that bustle in the morning that I normally have. We got to get to school. Come on, get your things and get in the car.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, my daughter has a long-term illness. She does go to a large Minneapolis public high school. When she's feeling well, she goes. When she's not feeling well, she's able to stay home and do what's called homebound. And one of the high school teachers talks to the other teachers and comes home and brings her tests and schoolwork to her. And so we do, and then I have to isolate her because she gets weak and she could get sick very easily. So we do this self-isolation thing fairly, I guess, considering for most people fairly frequently. I think one of the things that maybe has been nice for Tuesday, my daughter at her age, has just been, she's 17, she just turned 17, is her friends finally understanding what it's like for her. You know, like people may have to miss prom this year, and she's like, think of all the dances, the homecomings, the proms I've had to miss.
Right.
And the football games, I do see the posts that these people post about their high school seniors, and I do feel bad, but there's kids that all the time have to deal with things like this. So
Right.
In a way, I feel terrible about it for everybody, but maybe it will give people who have been really difficult on my daughter for her missing things, having a bit more compassion on what it's like for her all the time.
Really glad to hear that. And I think that people are learning a lot of different kinds of empathy through this, or instances in which they can be more empathetic.
Mm-hmm. So today's episode is, we're going to start with the product displacement, where we talk about a particular product or brand and whether they have a hit or miss. And one of the things that we have is, it was an interesting article that we found in Fast Company where there are a number of music trends out there that are coronavirus related. And so we are going to go over a few of these songs that are vying to become the anthem of coronavirusness. And then we have our next segment. Did you see this? Did you see this? Oh, gosh, our queen of clean, Naomi Campbell, has lots of things to say about people who are not appropriately social distancing, and we're going to cover that. And then we're going to move into, does this make me old? Does this make me old? An interesting story out there, generational in nature, about Gen X and whether they are the best at social distancing. And then we have a bonus segment today. We are going to do an update in Excuse Me, Sir. That's usually a segment where we talk about the dating the dating challenges that Judy and I might be having, just to delight our friend Samantha Stokes. And Judy seems to be crushing the dating game suddenly that we are in the midst of the coronavirus. And so we are going to cover all of those things today and more on our Enthusiastic Women. So we start with product displacement. Today, product displacement brought to you by Enthusiatune, our record label. So we start with a number of anthems that are out there now. Samantha, you have that story for us, right?
I do, yeah. So we know dark or challenging times always inspire art and creative expression. There's always an uptick in that kind of output. And for example, I think we've all heard a lot about how, the anecdote, how William Shakespeare wrote King Lear when he was in quarantine for the bubonic plague, and Isaac Newton came up with the theory of gravity during that. And so some of the world's finest, most creative minds have produced some of the finest and most creative work during those very dark times. That brings me to Cardi B.
I love your intro because I'm sure even Cardi B did not expect to be a pillar of artistic integrity that was getting us through the dark times. I think even Cardi B would be like, wow, that's me. And so that's a very terrible Cardi B impersonation. She's just a little shrieky.
I liked it. Yeah. It's so terrible. Wait till we get to an anthem. So anthems are something that always seem to arise also during dark times. Right. And so think of things like Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan, or My Generation by The Who, or Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown, Fight the Power by Public Enemy. So there's been kind of a consistent trend, right, that these anthems arise during difficult times in society. So last week, as you mentioned, Shannon, Fast Company published an article that was a collection of what appear to be anthems that are becoming popular in response to the coronavirus situation.
Right.
And we can talk through whether these are going to be ones that stick around as long as, say, like You're Blowing in the Wind type of song by Bob Dylan.
And we're not going to play all of them because some of them, like I did think that some of the ones that gave us the best earworms, there were a couple of different rap ones out there that honestly, just since we're a podcast that doesn't use a lot of swear words, I am way too lazy to edit them. There is not a radio edit for some of those. So as the radio personality, I'm like, too many swear words, and I don't feel like going through that headache, even though I do have more free time now during the quarantine. But I did think that some of them were funny, and even the artists that were doing them were trying to do things kind of tongue-in-cheek, and so we do have a couple of those. And then we have one that, okay, so Sam, of that article, I have three, and I have three that we can go. So would you guys like to go over the three, and I will put them this way. In the one that is most likely to give you earworms, or the one that is least likely to give you earworms, and then we will progressively go up. What would you think?
Let's go with the least to the most.
Least
the worst
to the most.
To the best.
So the worst to the best. Okay. All right. I will do that. So this is my opinion. So the one that I think is worse, it actually has to give a little bit of information. And so we do have this one by Bono. Do you still have that one on your list, Sam?
I sure do.
Okay. So what's the background of it?
When I heard that Bono had made an anthem for coronavirus, I was like, if things couldn't have already gotten worse, now Bono has to rear his ugly head and try to make us an anthem.
Are you not a Bono fan, Miss Judy Cotta?
I feel like he has an acute case of white savior syndrome, and nothing's gonna be able to get him over it. But
fair enough.
Let's hear. I'm positive this is the worst. I haven't heard it yet, but let's listen to Bono.
All right, we'll listen to Bono because he does explain it a little bit, and his actually came out on St. Patrick's Day because he wanted something for all of the Irish fans out there. So this is what Bono said.
Little postcards from Bubble in Dublin on St. Patrick's Day. little tune made up here about an hour ago. I think it's called Let Your Love Be Known.
Let your love be known.
Yes, there was silence. Yes, there was no people here. Yes, I walked through the streets of Dublin and no one was near. Yes, I don't know you. No, I didn't think I didn't care.
We're almost to the...
You live so very far away from just across the square. And I can't reach, but I can reach. You can't touch, but you can see across rooftops. Sing down the phone.
For everyone who's listening to our podcast right now, I am laughing.
Promise me you
Judy
won't
Carter is
stop.
rolling her eyes aggressively. Like, if you could feel eyes being rolled, that is how it looks right now. And then, okay, I'm going to turn that off. Here's my thing about it. You guys remember when Dana Carvey used to do SNL skits? That's what it feels like. It's like chopping broccoli. Like, it might as well be that. Like, it's so... I'm not feeling that one. I understand what he was getting at about it's going to be this cool song about people coming together, and that was a very inspiring thing about people singing across rooftops, and that's how we can still feel together. But oh my heavens, it has so much sappy, drippy honey in it. I just can't do that one. I can't do that one at all. So
the reason I apologize for not having written down the background to the song, and the reason I just now realized is because I immediately on hearing it just started to write down insults. I had no description of it, nothing factual in particular. It was just all the things that I hated about it, including that the way he shot it looks like he's trying to partially conceal his identity.
Yeah, because you just see like it keeps
kind of goes up his nose. It's just it's weird.
The thing that a lot of these things that happen now, like we'll get to Cardi B, but what he was trying to capture was like the Italians singing on their balcony. These are organic social media moments, and you can't capitalize on that. You can't make it happen.
right.
So it's kind of double cringe.
Let's play this next one. Okay, this one I think before we get to the Cardi B one, which I think is we don't want to use the word best, but I do enjoy this one, and this one was by the Endovo Youth Choir, I believe, and this one actually teaches you some great lessons, and I think that it was in a very catchy way, so we're going to play this one next. Like nice little upbeat thing. It tells you don't touch your face, which for me, I am quite the face toucher because I have allergies. Is all I can do. I'm like, I need songs to remind me to don't touch my face. So I like that one. I think it's kind of a bop. Yeah, I think that's a bop. What do you guys think?
I like it, and I like that it's it is international, so it has a global feel to it, and it's a fun, catchy tune, and their energy is really nice.
Yes. I'm like, so good job for those young people. Now, we are going to get to the one that we've been waiting for. There are a number of different remixes out there of our good friend Cardi B and a rant that she did about coronavirus. And so a number of DJs had picked this up and run with it. And the one that seems most popular right now is I think it's I Marquise. I never had to say his name out loud before, kind of thing. But he had done a number of other quote-unquote viral remixes before, and now this one just happens to be incredibly viral in nature. So are you guys ready for a little clip of Cardi B and her coronavirus? Mm-hmm. Here we go. Popular dance works to this. Drop the beat, hey! Hold up. I had to wait till we got to that part. Now, I do understand why that remix has gotten so much attention, because it's a good bop. And even Cardi B shared that back to all of her followers as well.
Seem to understand.
Bono doesn't make bops, first of all.
Coronavirus anthem. She didn't try to go viral. This wasn't a thing that she went in the studio and did on St. Patrick's Day and sent out to the world as a gift. This is a thing that happened and is everywhere on Twitter and other social media, and people love. This is the kind of thing that becomes an anthem because people like it.
And it also reminds me of another one that's making the rounds right now, and it's a whole bunch of celebrities, and was started by Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Singing Imagine, right? And they all do one.
I know. It's so bad.
It's painfully bad. And even they look like they know it's painfully bad.
It's like celebrities are so self-unaware. How did they not know that
I think a lot of people are trying to capitalize on the fact that we still need to have content out there, but a lot of the content that we're doing isn't able to be created. So many of the movies that we were expecting to see in 2020 and 2021 were either put on hold because we couldn't continue to shoot them, or they were put on hold because there's no point in releasing them right now because we can't go to movie theaters. So I think that a lot of celebrities, if you're trying to figure out a way of, one, I think they're just human beings trying to figure out what they're going to do with their spare time that they didn't expect to have, because they're not able to go to their quote-unquote job just like we can't. But I also think that it's a matter of what can I do from my house with my friends and my coworkers, and that it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's not going to be, because they're making it in their house. So I think they know that it's going to be meh. And they're just something to do.
Some people are making amazing content.
True.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they put The Bachelorette on hold.
Right.
They can't do it, obviously. Hannah Brown, who was last year's Bachelorette, and one of the people who she didn't end up with, but probably should have, Tyler, they're in quarantine together. And they're making TikTok videos on the daily.
Right.
It's such great content.
People have never been on TikTok before.
It's so good. It's
right.
everywhere. They are creating the Bachelor content that people need to see, since we're probably not going to get Bachelor in Paradise, so we're not going to get The Bachelorette. They're just sitting there in quarantine making this awesome content. Jimmy Fallon doing the Tonight Show from home.
Right.
I mean, there are people. I can name more. Those are just two great examples of, like, this isn't happening. And then these two people just on their own are making this really great, amazing content that, like, every time there's a new TikTok, my daughter and I scream. And we're like, yeah, I have a new TikTok. Oh, my God. What is it? what are they doing? You know, and oh my God, it's so good. We're like, it's like the content that everybody needs right now.
So you're saying that if you're not good at it, they should just stay out?
You should find a way to be better.
What made me doubly cynical about the Gal Gadot one is there's a new Wonder Woman movie coming out, and of course Linda Carter. So Gal started off that song, and then Linda Carter ended it. And so it, made me cynical about, is it a plug for the new Wonder Woman movie?
Right.
I don't know.
Versus just a humanitarian impulse. Who knows? But that did catch my attention.
So if it had been interesting, you would have been okay
have we
with
already
the fact that it
tweeted
had
them
Linda
that
Carter
we
in it?
didn't
'Cause
like
some
it?
people might have
Or
found that
should
very
we make sure that
nostalgic.
we
Get on that. That's been today's product displacement. Today, product displacement is brought to you by Enthusiatunes, the Enthusiastic Woman record label. And now a word from Enthusiastic Woman founder and CEO, Verbena Wackenfield.
Hello, I'm thrilled to bestow my latest discovery upon you. Last summer, during a weekend walk to northwestern Minnesota, I decided to attend Catfish Days on the banks of the Red River of the North. While enjoying Beans on the Bank Chili Festival, I became aware of the magical sound that spoke directly to my soul. It was the musical styling of three gentlemen, a musical trio known as the Cousin Brothers. Their music was like a conversation between angels who happened to play the harmonica. I immediately implored them to join the Enthusiastic Women Network, even though they are neither women nor particularly enthusiastic. To my joy, they agreed. The Cousin Brothers will now bring musical inspiration to our viewers, and today you can purchase their debut album, Eastside Life, released on the new Enthusiastic Woman record label. Don't hesitate, ladies. All enthusiastic women need Cousin Brothers in their lives.
Brought to you by Enthusiastic Women Online, We Birth Success. Thank you very much, Verbena. We always appreciate you stopping by the studios. We appreciate it. Now it's time for Did You See This? Did You See This? And so I'm going to bring up this next story because before things got super, super scary, I was fortunate enough to get one of the last trips out of town, and I was part of a thing called the Las Cruces International Film Festival, and so I had to fly to New Mexico, and that was only earlier in this month. Something that now we're like, oh my gosh, who's actually getting on planes these days? So while I was on the plane, I did something a little different than what I would normally do. I had taken my Clorox wipes and such with me and was wiping down the seat and everything and actually put a poster of it. And I had said I was getting my Naomi Campbell on because Naomi Campbell about a year ago had gone viral because people were showing her routine when she got on planes. And it included putting on a mask, and she had these very intense disinfecting wipes and this whole process that she went through. And of course people were like, Naomi Campbell is too much. What is she doing? And a bunch of us were like, that seems smart. Maybe I should do that. And so now it's something that everybody is on board with. So Naomi Campbell is very good at keeping track of all of those things that are out there, and she is certainly not having the fact that people are not practicing appropriate social distancing. And if anybody's going to call out these stories, it's going to be Naomi Campbell. And so she and a number of other people were talking about what's going on specifically in Florida, and it's not the only place that has had issues. But especially last week, there were people who were still reveling so intently on the beaches of Florida. And I think that when you see those stories and that people like Naomi Campbell were going, why don't you guys get it? That brings us to where we are today, where governments have had to step in and close down beaches because people just didn't get it. And I kind of, I guess I'm torn because I do understand that I think a lot of the human beings that you saw in these photos were going, this might be my last chance to do this, so I'm going to try and make sure I go out and enjoy things. But I think there was also a number of people that were not taking the social distancing to heart at the time and still thinking that we were just being overly dramatic. So what do you guys think?
I think, first of all, Naomi Campbell is amazing.
Right.
And she, I think for a lot of things in the past was probably people were too harsh and too judgmental on her in the press. And in the future will come around and be like, you know, she's right about a lot of things and was pretty cool and was judged too harshly. And this is going to be one of them. She's so great, and I love an opinionated woman, and Naomi's one of them. So there's that. Here's the thing. I think these spring breakers in Florida have two problems. One of them is the whole not taking it seriously, and from the interviews I saw is this other attitude of, if I die, I die. And one of the interviews I saw was this kid being like, I planned this spring break for 2 months. And, you know, after all that planning for so long, I guess if I die, I die. Well, 2 months.
My heavens.
Down the toilet. That's a very long, I mean, that is worth dying for. You know, and that's an attitude a lot of people have. I mean, what's the name of that actress from Lost? Evangeline Lilly, who's saying really silly things like she values her freedom over her life and keeps sending her kids out to do things. And so it's a double-sorted attitude of some people who are like, I'm willing to risk it. Let's all die, you know. At what cost? Those are my thoughts.
Samantha?
Yeah. Well, I agree. And I was struck by two things. One is just the literal negative herd instinct these people seem to have who are on those beaches. It really was disturbing to see that nobody realized how and cared how dangerous their behavior was. Also, I keep wondering, in the context of the spring breakers, where are the parents?
Right.
You know, the college kids, yes, they should be aware. The kids should be. They're old enough. They should be, you know, this should scare them too. But why not their parents?
Well, don't you assume their parents feel the same way? Do you not have any friends that are thinking like this?
I'm sure I do. I haven't had any conversations with anyone where...
Oh.
Okay.
I haven't, nobody that I know has disagreed with the quarantine.
You haven't? Oh, because I've had posters on Facebook, people on Twitter, and I had a friend on Facebook actually post a big Medium article that combats all this stuff about, they call it coronavirus hysteria. And I was commenting yesterday that it was really false and telling other people what Medium was and how Twitter owns it, and a post on Medium is basically just a glorified Twitter post that's more like a blog post. And today that post has been taken down. And I noticed, I went on Laura Ingram and she had posted the same post.
Right.
So there's a lot of false information and tons of people who believe it, and tons of people who think that none of this should be happening. And that, there's tons of people who think this, that are the same age as us. So it's not just that they're young. I mean, you have to just assume the parents agree.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I don't doubt, just knowing the statistics of how, what people believe in this country, and how divisive everything is. And yet I still come back to wanting the parents to start to, provide some guidance. But I agree with you. There's a lot of people out there of all ages who have embraced the opposite view of what we're talking about right now.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Right. And I do think that, unfortunately, I mean, just because of the opinions of the three of us are not the only opinions that are currently out there. And I do think that, you know, when I'm looking at it, I just have decided that I would rather communicate in the style of Naomi Campbell, because she is also, in addition to saying those things, I do think that she does have a lot of positive interactions and how she's trying to come up with ways that people can navigate these, you know, newfound waters and challenges and kind of work together. So that's the part that I like about Naomi Campbell as well, is that she's not just being reactionary. She's also saying, well, here's some ideas of what you can do to take care of yourself and what
in
else
a very
might
kind
make
of
you
empowering
feel better.
way, but
And
also
I like
kind
those
of like
kind of
a
things. She is making
lighthearted-ish
it serious way, how you put a slash in between those, where it's like, look, I know this looks silly, but here's why it's okay. And I like that particular communication style, because if we go all the way in, I'd like to just be a lot more, why don't you get this? But that doesn't seem to be working. So there might be a little more. We'll put, instead of a rubber glove, like a velvet glove out to some people and go, look, we'll all be fine. And otherwise, they're just going to keep pushing back, and we won't get what we need, which is everybody to be safe and everybody to stay as healthy as much as possible. So in the meantime, I think we, at least the three of us, what we can do is just continue to like Naomi Campbell's posts. I think that might be what we can do right now. So we will try to keep that all. All right, moving into our next segment today. Does this make me old? Does this make me old? Samantha, do you have that story from Forbes? We were going to talk about.
Yes. So this week, Forbes published an article talking about how Generation Z is emerging as one of the most touch-averse cohorts in the workplace today.
Okay.
And according to a new survey, Gen Z joins the Boomers as the two generations most most uncomfortable with physical contact.
Oh, interesting.
Cohorts.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Gotcha.
And then as we know, but just for listeners, so Gen Z is the newest generation to be named, and they're born between 95 and 2015. So they're currently 4 to 24 years old. So they're the spring breakers, in other words. There's
Right.
74 million of them in the U.S. Gen X, us, we are their parents. Boomers are their grandparents. So the study revealed varying generational attitudes about what is and is not appropriate at work in regards to physical contact, flirtation, social media, and more. And basically it comes down to Gen Z and Boomers agree that when it comes to touching their coworkers, less is more, whereas Gen X, and I was a little surprised by this, but Gen X and Millennials, according to the survey, are pretty okay with it.
So we're the huggers. Are we saying that we were the huggers at work, so we were the problem, not the solution?
I guess, but I don't.
Are we?
Interesting.
That was what the study said, and then this is my main the main issue I have with this study is some of the examples they gave as the behaviors that people liked or didn't like are things that I don't ever recall encountering in the workplace.
Oh, like what?
That I'll give you a couple of examples here. So Gen Z least likely to give kisses on the cheek in the workplace. Least likely to sit in the lap of a colleague during work hours at the workplace.
Yeah, who does that? I'm like, where do they work? And I work in some pretty sketchy places.
Never.
I've never done that myself. I never witnessed anybody else doing that. Somebody sitting in somebody's lap in the office?
Never.
Interesting.
According to the study, our generation's okay with that.
Only in movies, and that was before Me Too hit. So,
right.
I mean, that doesn't seem like it should have been, if that was going on in certain workplaces, no wonder people were so, this is terrible and I need to talk to HR, but HR doesn't listen.
Right. Right.
We do have to start moving into our final segment. Finally, we have to do this. So what we wanted to do, and Samantha, I thought that you thought that this would be interesting, because one of the things that we have noticed, even though people are socially isolating, is that for some reason, Judy says that she's had an uptick in her friend requests on social media. Is that right, Judy?
Yeah, this is our excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Yes.
So, couple really very interesting things happening, because this is like dating during quarantine, right?
Yes.
So, tons of interesting things that you can see. And I'm getting, reports from the front lines of my friends who are on Bumble, talking to guys, having guys tell them that they got laid off, and then the guys hitting them up for money on Venmo. People are doing the full on, it's become very popular to have FaceTime dates. Have you guys heard about this?
No. Okay.
So the guys or girls or whoever, you meet on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, and then you set up a date, you meet on FaceTime. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the guys or I guess whoever, but one person will pay for the date and either Venmo the person money or send DoorDash to the person's house.
Interesting. So you'll still eat. You'll just eat online.
Kind of try it, except that, like, I have a 17-year-old daughter here at home, and, I mean, we have a nice apartment, but it's not huge. Like, I have the 2 kids, so it's like a 3-bedroom apartment, and so it would be really hard for me to do one of these FaceTime dates or online dates online, say we were Skyping, without her knowing. I just don't need, it's already a weird time, and then she'll look back and she'll be like, what I really remember about the quarantine is my mom days to the living room. I just wonder what the long-term effects of that type of behavior would have on her. It's so weird. It's not like I'm single, but it's not like I'm single alone. I have, like, a young person in the house with me. I just know that that's appropriate behavior.
And I would guinea pig it, but mine would be the opposite. It's not like I would worry about what he thought about it. It's that my kid is super loud, and so there's no way he would let me get through a whole date without him going. He would just come back and do what he always does, just mom, 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 because I can't do a phone call without him doing it.
And I was reading this, I think it was a BuzzFeed article, or maybe they were just tweets about people who did it. And there was this guy who did this whole, elaborate, online Skype, whatever, FaceTime, face date. And, afterwards, the person, sometimes you go on a date, and then the person, turns you down, and the person has been I really appreciate, your time getting together with me, but I could tell from our conversation that we just are meant for each other.
Wow.
I don't know, the rejection after,
a FaceTime.
A date, how we're looking at each other. How weird would it be to get that message afterwards?
We'll just have to just figure out a way to let people down easy.
God.
So maybe you'll just cut to the chase. It's like, a no is still a no.
Regardless. No. And so this is what it's going to be like. This is what it's going to be like. So stay tuned to see if Shannon and Judy. The reason I wanted to talk about this weird. Okay, so the past about
yes.
Maybe it started on Monday. Really, I've been getting 3 to 5 friend requests. Okay, I'm not on dating sites or anything right now. Not actively looking, but considering, because quarantine dating is intriguing me. 3 to 5 new face requests from men every day. So, last night, one of these guys who friend requested me, and I didn't confirm the request, messaged me.
Yes.
So I was like, here's an opportunity. Let's learn. How did I start this weird thing? Oh, so I said, do I know you? I messaged him back. How did you find me? I'm curious. I think you popped as a friend. And he right away is like, I'm sorry. He's super apologetic.
Right.
Because I'm asking questions. Which I think is legitimate because you friend requested me and you messaged me. So wouldn't anybody be curious?
Right.
Sure. Right? And I don't know you. And I said, I've been getting a lot of friend requests lately. Such a good conversation. I think it's because of COVID-19. And then I feel like it's only fair. I have a podcast that's going to talk about.
Well, you were probably, if he says he needs to take a break from Facebook, maybe you weren't the first person that he had friend requested, and they were like, why are you friend requesting me?
You think that they're only friend requesting me? No. I'm the prize of the universe? If I could get friends with her, then I could just quit everything. I mean, they're obviously hitting up other girls.
Well, here's what I think in general is, aside from the fact that he decided that he was offended, I do think that a lot of people who were less inclined to be overly social on social media are now coming back to it.
And I'm like, why me? I said, I'm just getting a lot of new friend requests.
Okay.
And I said, but you also messaged me, and I just was thinking that maybe you'd want to talk about it. It's like, Have a good day. I'm going back to bed.
Right. Well, Judy.
He said, please, can I just ask you some questions? I'm just trying to be honest with you. And then he says something about being a Star Wars fan and seeing a Baby Yoda meme and how he thought it was funny. And then I said, did you request other people? And he says, no, I don't think that's true. And then he says, I'm not looking for dates. And I also don't think that's true. And then he gets really like, I'm sorry if I bugged you. And I said, you're really not bugging me. I'm just curious. And then he's like, have a good day. I'm not going to bug you anymore. So he got really embarrassed, you know.
Right. Well,
I really would have been honest, especially if somebody was like, I'm doing a podcast. I have questions. Why did you do it? I kind of would have been like, LOL. Well, honestly, yeah, kind of. Or I liked your picture. You know, like, wouldn't you just tell the truth?
But maybe that was the truth. Maybe he was just looking for somebody to talk to. He didn't expect he was going to get all full-on Judy. Like, when he's like, he just thought he was talking to somebody to put up a Baby Yoda meme, and you're like, no, I'm all the things. So, I mean, I think that that's part of the reason why people, like, because of the job that I have and the way my profile is set up, whenever somebody talks to me, I'm like, wow, you're brave, because they usually get just turned off because they're like, she's a comedian, she's going to talk about me if I do anything weird, and they're right.
I'm like, I have a podcast. I have questions.
Right. And so he's like, I'm out. That was just it. So no, he wouldn't be super honest, because he's going, wait, I work in IT or whatever he does that's like a super muggle job.
Some nerd who likes Star Wars does.
Right. Exactly. And so you came at him. He's just trying to talk. And you're like, I got things. And he's like, I do not need your things. So, that is, you were going to get that.
No. I mean, I guess I can't ask of the other people, but I guess I'm just getting an uptick, and then I
think people are just in front of their computers and on their phones a lot more than they used to be.
I think so.
Right.
I think so.
You know, because I mean, I have things to do, and I'm still on my computer and my phone a lot more than I used to be. Because, you know, I can, you know, because why not? Like, there used to be, you know, even if you just take the commute time out of the things that I was doing before, that means I have more time to be on my phone.
I'm always doing this. My life hasn't changed that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, what are these people on the internet? I mean, Twitter's been actually kind of fun. There's a lot of people back on it. It's kind of like a best friends reunion, and that's been cool. Although I have had some people been like, one of the worst side effects of this, you know, coronavirus has been all my ex-boyfriends getting back on Twitter, you know, stay out, this is my house, you know.
You know what else I think it's like? It's in January, how there's like, if you go to the gym, there's a lot of people who have just joined the gym, and all of a sudden you can't find equipment that you want. It's just really crowded. I think maybe that's happened with the internet right now.
Everybody's joined my internet and getting into pieces, and it's confusing me.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you are going to join the internet, we would encourage you to also join our Enthusiastic Women community. We are easy to find. You can go to enthusiasticwomen.com. You can look for Enthusiastic Women on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. We're iBirth Success. We, of course, encourage you to always email us. We're ibirthsuccess@gmail.com. And if you would like to pick up the phone and leave us a voicemail, you can do that at our Enthusiastic Women hotline at 612-276-2774. That's 612-276-2774. We encourage you to be part of our community. If you like this podcast, please make sure you subscribe and you like us on all of our channels, and we appreciate all of your feedback. So, ladies, are you feeling okay? And like, are we okay in our social distancing? We'll be able to do this again next week?
I think so.
Yeah, and we encourage everybody out there to stay encouraged. We appreciate you all. We'll see you next time. And remember, when you're feeling less than enthusiastic, remind yourself, I birth success.